Previously on Computer Transplant.
I see. Is there something in this computer preventing you from accomplishing these upgrades? Yes, there can be. Depending upon what type of components are in your existing computer, you may be able to migrate them into a new, larger enclosure and provide a higher capacity power supply.
Here is a close-up view of the interior of a typical desktop system. One typical feature of ATX standard motherboards is the placement of their mounting hardware. For a system of this size, with 4 or 5 expansion slots, there will usually be 6 mounting points between the motherboard and the system enclosure.
The only remaining issue is your power supply. That may well be true, but remember, you mentioned that you wanted to install some additional hard drives as a RAID array, along with some other upgrades. All these computer parts consume energy, especially advanced video display adapters. You mentioned, as you called them, some other upgrades when you brought your system in. Do you have some specific idea of which upgrades you want to apply to your computer apart from the RAID array? Alright. Now memory can be added to your computer as it is without transplanting it to a new enclosure. And since you have at least 2 expansion slots available, the IEEE 1394 and external SATA cards can also be installed in your existing system. Now concerning your RAID array, what level of array were you planning to install? Well, 3 drives are the absolute minimum. However, fault tolerance can be improved in a level 5 array if you have at least 4 drives in the system. In addition, the 4 drives should be of the same make and model to provide consistent performance across the array. That's correct. You're on the right track. Now, we're not going to be able to demonstrate the entire transplant procedure here in technical support, but we can review some important information and some general principles that will help you along in the process.
3 important steps should be taken when preparing to transplant your system components. First, disconnect all of the system's power and peripheral cables. Second, set the computer with its open side up on a clean surface, preferably on a grounded AntiStatic mat. And most important of all, wear a grounded AntiStatic strap as you work on the computer's interior components. If you have no place to connect a grounded AntiStatic strap, use the following procedure. Connect the static strap to an unpainted metal part of the computer's chassis. Then, turn all power off, first at the power strip, and then, if so equipped, at the computer. Then, connect a grounded power cable from the turned off power strip to the back panel power connector of the computer. This will provide a ground path from the static strap through the chassis of the computer to the turned off power strip. As you begin to remove the components from your original computer, it is important to protect them from damage from static electricity. Therefore, wear your AntiStatic strap and either place the components on an AntiStatic mat or put them in AntiStatic bags as you remove them to protect them during the transplant procedure. Leave the system components on the mat or in the AntiStatic bags until you are ready to install them in the new enclosure. Once your existing system's motherboard has been removed, be sure to remove and save the ATX rear cover plate. The cover plate will be installed in the rear panel of the new enclosure and match up with the peripheral connectors of your existing motherboard. If your new enclosure already has an ATX rear cover plate in place, remove it first and replace it with the ATX cover plate from your existing motherboard. Mount the cover plate from the inside and press outward on all four corners of the cover plate to fit it securely in place.
With all the components removed, the transplant itself is pretty much the reverse of the removal. Follow the same AntiStatic procedures as when you remove the components to provide ongoing protection from static discharge. And as for the power supply, the easiest way to meet your new system's power needs is to choose a new power supply at twice the rated output in watts as your existing supply, and verify that the new power supply has all the connectors required to feed the motherboard, video card, hard disk, and optical drives. Do you have any further questions? You're welcome. Glad I was able to help.